the Prison City Podcast. When the bars go up, you're officially locked in.
Welcome to the Prison City Podcast. I am your unofficial host, Patrick Cutler. And we have a great show here today. We have a special guest today, Mariann Cameron, who's done a lot of plays with Cutler Bros Productions. We have a lot of bizarre theater stories to go through tonight. It's going to be a really fun show. So let's just go around the main table here tonight. And just a quick side note here, one of our main table people, Kelly Cutler, is not going to be here tonight. He had a birthday tonight, and he's getting ready for a wedding, and we have a roast, and we have a bunch of stuff coming up, so he was unable to make the show tonight, but we have everybody else here. So let's start out with Mr. Mahogany.
Thanks. Really excited to be back, everybody. And Pat, it's okay to admit Kelly was in a tragic accident, and he's no longer with us. So that's why he's not going to be here. Pat keeps making up these excuses on why he's not here, but he's gone, Pat. It's time to let him go.
Yes, it is. On to Jay Morse there.
That was bullshit. Is Mark got to say he's dead before I could?
Luck of the draw.
Such bullshit. But yes, Kelly is dead. To me, especially.
So this is the Prison City Podcast. Our special guest tonight, Mariann. She also grew up in the same exact town that we did. That's what we call it, the Prison City. And so just a little bit background on her. We did it, started doing theater projects together. The first place she was in it wasn't the Cutler Brothers show, but it was a show that we all came together was Once Upon a Mattress. And we were doing that show inside the old Montana State Prison Museum. So that was a lot of fun. And since then, we've kind of done a lot of shows together. And right now she's in the middle of producing and directing Pride and Prejudice on the Cutler Brothers Theater stage. And this past weekend, we had a very good turnout. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the audience and everybody to Mariann Cameron.
Hi, thank you for having me on tonight.
Sorry, did anybody else hear that? Give me a little
Can you
stretch.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
She said, thanks for having me. I'll be her sound interpreter. She said, hi, thank you for having me on tonight in perfect English.
No. She said, fuck you, Pat, you're ugly. God damn it.
All right.
So, Mariann, can you tell us a little bit? I'm not familiar with Pride and Prejudice really at all. So this is the one, remind me, and just tell me if I'm wrong. It's a former army guy who gets sent to a distant planet, and he can't use his legs, right? So he gets sent to this distant planet, and they're searching for this really big, like important rock or something, and they're kind of mining that. And in order to gain use of his legs again, he goes in this machine and becomes like an avatar of the aliens that inhabit this planet. Is that do I got the right one?
Oh yeah, spot on. Yep, James Cameron's classic Avatar. Yep, that's spot on. Obviously, no. Pride and Prejudice is Jane Austen's classic that a lot of people had to read in high school. Basically about a mother who has 5 daughters, and some wealthy bachelors come into the town, and she's basically trying to marry them off. And one of her daughters is very strong-willed, isn't quite the marrying off type, but she ends up meeting her match, so to speak. So it's a back and forth type of story with the old traditions that used to be enforced as far as marrying off your daughters young to hopefully the richest guy that you can find.
Yeah. So, Jay Morse, does that come in a little bit staticky to you? Just out of curiosity, looking for tech stuff here.
A little bit. Not too crazy, though. A lot better than it was like 5 minutes ago.
All right. Say hello right now, Mariann. Let me just hear how it sounds.
Hello.
Why is it so staticky like that? Let me stop your video really quick and just see if that improves it, because we are more of just audio anyways. Let me stop right there. All right, cool. Now try talking.
How's this now?
That's
quite
actually
a bit better.
that's yeah.
A lot better.
We'll just skip. Being the tech guy as I am from Alaska, or not from Alaska, I spent a lot of years up there in video technology communications. Sometimes if you cut the video with the bandwidth feed and everything, it helps a lot. So we're gonna focus on audio, so we're also gonna cut J Marsh's video as well. I'm just kidding.
I mean, we already got rid of the pretty one. Why not get rid of the ugly one too, right?
No.
Thank you.
No, you
Sarcasm.
you actually sound great now, and that's the main thing, is because this is more of a podcast thing. So just for an FYI, Mariann, I got on some background tech stuff because I have to go into this because your shitty fucking internet.
Hey, I spend $80 on internet. It better not be shitty.
Holy God, you're
ripped off.
she's getting more ripped off than people that pay for the Cutler Bros play. No, what I wanted to say was, God, you're hot with your camera off. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God.
Nice. Good. This has been so far, to everyone who has hung in there with us. This is a good start. I promise things will get better.
Okay,
welcome to Enigma Part 4.
Yeah, seriously.
No, here's what I was gonna say. It's like we're distributed across like 15 to 20 different podcast platforms, the software I got and everything. So overwhelming majority of people watch this via audio. So anyways, let's move on. What were we talking about again, Mahoney?
We were talking about how Mr. Darcy is the character that J Marsh plays, and I think he does a really good job of kind of bringing that character to life in the show.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yes. This Avatar rendition that we do in the theater down here.
So I guess Mariann, go back with your description of Pride and Prejudice.
Sure. Basically, like I was saying, it is back in the 1800s about a mother that has 5 daughters. And back then it was so important to get your daughters married off. Younger, the better. And obviously to the wealthier of husbands, the better. So in this, well, it's a book, a lot of people have read this book in high school. It's very popular, Jane Austen's classic, one of the first really popular female authors. So she writes about how this strong-willed daughter of hers, of the mother in this, basically doesn't necessarily see her life as cut out just to be a wife, but she meets her match, and it's just the storyline of that and how there's a lot of back and forth, and just the storyline of how women used to be set out for just marriage and how important it was back in the day.
So would you say this is really an appropriate show for, say, like a 25-year-old or say a 30-year-old mentally challenged female that works at Prison Pizza?
Okay. I wouldn't say necessarily that it would be, just because the views are so outdated with what they think is appropriate and necessary for women. And our views have just changed so much over the last century plus more. So I guess not a typical question that you would usually be asked, but that's what I'm going to go with.
That's we asked the atypical. I'll ask you one that's an easier one, and then I have one that's a little more ridiculous. So first, you've been an actress for forever, as long as I can remember, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And this is your directorial debut. Am I correct in saying that?
You are, yes.
So what's been the biggest challenge? You've been on the other end of it so long. Do you like it? Does it kind of suck? Like, what's been the biggest challenge making that shift from just the star of the show to actually making sure the whole thing actually works?
I say I've actually really, really enjoyed myself. I'm a lot more laid back as a director than I kind of expected to be, because we all know me as a drama queen. So with this, I expected to be a little bit more uptight, but it has been actually very easy. I'm fortunate and I have a very experienced cast for the most part. So that has made it easy. I do have to say it's much easier just being on the stage and not having to worry about the other parts of it, making sure the set is together, making sure that the marketing is all put into place, making sure that everything that you possibly need is put together and ready to go, the bios, whatever else it takes. So it's definitely easier on the other side, but I have thoroughly enjoyed myself being the director and getting my vision across on the stage, something I haven't been able to do before.
Awesome. Now, my ridiculous question is, if you had to get married off by your mom, which family would you like her to have married you off to in Deer Lodge that we were growing up with?
Oh God. I don't know. I don't know which ones could handle me besides the Cutlers. I mean, I truly feel like they're the only ones that can match my ridiculousness. So probably them, I guess. I don't know which one I'd want to marry though, because they're all like my brothers. So I don't know. I just have them adopt me instead.
Sounds like she would have liked Matt to marry her, is what I heard right there.
I think.
Oh, no, I don't know if that's where we're going.
So what I'm hearing here is you think you should be walking down the aisle on May 1st with Kelly Cutler.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I do not.
Oh, you're not. Hey, you're not alone in that club. We also have someone that works at Prison Pizza that believes that same thing. So moving on.
Good person.
Well, before the show started, I was like, if we make this appropriate, we could put on the Cutler Bros Facebook page. Well, we've already crossed that line. So
it was your fault as well. Like, it was 100% your fault.
No one else is name dropping here except you two.
Yeah, Oh, I only name dropped because I had to guess.
I code word my names, okay?
Very poorly. Very poorly.
Horribly. 25 to a 32-year-old, probably about 28-ish. You know her. You see her walking around the street. Lovely gal.
Riding her bicycle.
Okay, this show's gonna get boycotted pretty fucking fast by Deer Lodge.
So Mariann, when it comes time for Kelly's wedding, are you gonna be that one like, I object, like put on kind of a pretty dramatic show during?
Absolutely not. Why would I ever do that? Come on now.
Okay, how much money for you to be that girl? Like, how much do I have to give you money for you to be obnoxious? None?
No, not
no money.
happening.
You'll do it for free?
No, shut up. No, I would never do that. Obviously, I would do that to Marissa or to Kelly.
And this is not a coincidence at all that we're talking major shit about Kelly since he's not here. That 25 to 30-year-old, maybe 28, mentally challenged person, won't say her name, that works at Prison Pizza, female, first name starts with J. She has had dreams about being together with Kelly, and she keeps bringing this up whenever I go down there and work. And I'm telling you, these dreams are not the non-sexual type.
Oh God.
So I'm not sure how we went from talking about her directorial debut
to
sex dreams about Prison Pizza employees, and the guy
there's no common denominator in this thing. Well, how do we get here?
Not at all. So anyway, we'll get back to the show that I think we're supposed to be kind of promoting. How was opening weekend? What was the biggest mistake you had opening weekend?
I would have to say the biggest mistake that we had as a cast was just mixing up our names. We constantly were saying there's Mr. Bingley and there's Mr. Bennett, and we were switching those up. So Elizabeth and Jane. So there was a few mistakes there. That was probably the most noticeable from what I saw.
Yeah.
And
so
go ahead, Pat.
Oh, so
I'm just ready for you to get it back on the rails, my man.
Let's get this back on the rails here, folks. So
we're going back to Bicycle Lady, just over.
So for our more, I'm going to switch targets here, and for our more mature audience, how much cleavage is on display here during this play?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, we all know I have a fair amount, so between mine and Elizabeth, I guess it's pretty good.
Would you say this show sets a new cleavage record for Deer Lodge and all the shows we've done past?
No, I mean, damn Yankees, I was barely wearing anything, so.
That's true. And I feel like Chicago, there had to be all sorts in Chicago.
Oh God,
well.
Chicago's good.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I wear a lot of clothes in any of the plays, thanks to the Cutler Brothers casting of my roles typically. So,
Yeah, I just like to say that I watched it a couple times so far. I think it'd be a little bit more intense at the end if Darcy, instead of arguing with her, just like took her by the dress, ripped off her top, and just let her boobs flop out. It might have more impact in the show.
God, I wish you could see my reaction to this right now. No.
Patrick, why do you need more spank bank material? There's like Pornhub. Just go there.
Yeah.
That is not.
I think that's a fair note. I haven't seen the show. So I think that's a fair note by Pat. I will continue to kind of be the yin to his yang and ask other questions.
Oh my God.
No, like normal questions.
Okay, that's good.
So
no, I cut him off for 2 seconds. I got to reply to that. He's trying to normalize this podcast. This is not a normal podcast.
What's your next question?
Clearly.
Well, I'm sorry. I was under the impression that, like, hey, we're doing this. We want to get the word out about the show.
Not about my boobs or Elizabeth's, whatever you got to do.
What's the next question, Pat? Hey, Mariann, you ever thought about selling pictures of your feet? Just like, you ever thought about going down the rabbit hole one time?
I haven't, but now that, I feel like that might be a good route to take.
Honestly, there's a lot of really good revenue there. Just strictly speaking, it's a pretty good investment in yourself.
So,
all right, I might try it. I'll let you know how it goes.
And that's fans. So if you guys are listening a week later, you're going to want to check her out. OnlyFans. It's Mariann's.
I just like how we have one female guest on it. It's fucking 24/7 sex jokes.
Yeah, no shit. Boobs, sex, feet, whatever.
But we're trying to attract the guys that come to your show. Maybe show a little boobs in the second.
Oh, apparently. Oh my God. They kind of are hanging out already.
All right. Where are we going with the show
anyway,
now?
back to the serious questions.
So opening weekend went fairly well, better than you expected, kind of thing. You expected things to go worse?
It went really well. And I was really shocked by the turnout. I had friends come, I had family come, I had employees come. So it was awesome. The amount of support that I've just seen throughout the community with this show has just been eye-opening, and I'm super grateful for it.
So yeah, again, going back to serious track here, since that's where Mahoney always likes to go. This was actually, I will say this. This is the most successful opening weekend for theaters since COVID-19 hit, which is a pretty big deal, I know everybody on this panel fully 110% agrees that COVID-19 was a complete hoax. So glad to see we're back on track here and theaters going good.
Yes, I was pumped to hear that we had a really good opening weekend and people are coming back out. And I only saw 2 masks in the crowd, so that was cool.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
Mask gaming from the stage. Unbelievable.
I'm gonna throw us back. Let's go back on some more theater stuff here. Just tell us, what was your first play, Mariann?
Ever?
Yes.
Well, I was in quite a few performances in Stevensville, Montana before I moved to Deer Lodge in 1995. So otherwise, my first show in Deer Lodge was at the Rialto when I was in A Christmas Carol, believe it or not, when I was in 4th grade.
Who'd you play in that?
Belinda.
Oh, yeah, Christmas Carol. I was thinking the Christmas Story. Belinda.
Yeah. Nope,
yeah,
Belinda, yep.
I can see that. So then how long until you got to our first production together, which is Once Upon a Mattress inside the old Montana State Prison Museum with some fat fuck director. I didn't know what he was doing. When did that happen?
He knocked on my door when I was in 8th grade and he asked if I would jump in because you guys had someone drop out. So it was a Monday or a Tuesday and we opened that Thursday. So that was the first big one that I did with all you guys.
That's not creepy at all.
And then
cool.
No.
So going back to Once Upon a Mattress, for our viewer audience, which is literally zero out there that know what I'm talking about. It was performed inside the old Montana State Prison called the Gunport Theater, because there's actual fucking Gunport that used to do shows for the prisoners until we took over and started doing real shows. But anyways, this director we had, probably the biggest piece of shit you ever met in your life. He's super, I wouldn't say he's super old, but he's, let's say, I don't know, late 40s, maybe early 50s. And he has this girl right out of high school, and I'm pretty sure you heard this story. And she this girl had one of I wouldn't say she had the main part. She had one of the female parts. And man, there was like a 20-30 year difference. She's married, and it turns out during the production of that show, she was actually fucking them. What do you think about that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I knew about it,
Oh, you
obviously,
did?
at the time. Yeah. Did you come with us to the bowling alley that one night in Anaconda?
Yes. I did.
Yeah. So that's when I kind of found out about all of it. So that was very interesting, and I don't know how the hell that happened because she was pretty cute, you know, and he's not. So it was an interesting combo.
It was interesting because what happened was her husband was actually fucking her sister. So,
What?
yes,
That's the most Deer Lodge thing. What a ridiculous.
because she told me that because she was looking at me like she wanted to suck my underage dick. So I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
So that happened, and this just goes behind the drama of theater. At the same time, we had a diva lead actress. I don't know if you read this part of it. She left this bizarre fucking note backstage.
Yeah.
You remember that? Remember that?
Yeah, because Kyle showed up on my doorstep the next Monday, and I had to start learning all of her lines because we weren't sure if she was going to come back. So you guys all voted that I should play Fred or whatever. So I had to start learning her lines, and then she just showed up like normal during that Friday performance or Thursday, whatever it was.
Which is insane because you consider that Mariann was so. This is kind of
I was 12.
Yeah, she was 12. I was just back in the theater. I was in she was in junior high. I was in high school. Mariann at 12 had one of the flattest. I'm not going to go there. All right.
Why? Why? That's like 3 times this podcast. Why?
Yeah, you didn't have to say 12. Okay, I didn't say 12.
That's how old I was.
But anyways, you crack jokes about. I'm not going there. Okay. She started the jokes.
I do. It's okay.
Yeah. Anyways, well, basically both of us were kind of, I wouldn't say brand new, but like kind of like this is my first show in a while, and we didn't have like maybe like a ton of experience at the time, and so we had the lead actress who had obviously put in a month or two or a couple months into the lead part. Now she's being asked to try to cover for her because it's weird. Female actresses have a diva thing when they get the lead part, and you can see it in so many damn shows. But we come back after a show one night, and she's gone, and she leaves this big note to this fat fuck director we had about how I can't even remember what was in the note. Anyways, I never knew that he had asked you to maybe take over that lead part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, quick question for us uncultured swine out here. This play was called Once Upon a Mattress?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What is this about?
Princess and the Pea. It's
Yes.
Princess and the Pea.
Okay. Like, I don't know what that is, but okay.
You know
Princess
how
and the
the
Pea.
girl sleeps with like 10 mattresses and they put a pea under that, and that's how you can tell if they're a real princess or not, if they can feel the pea.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna move
so-
on.
Anyway.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
This is about like pee. So someone's pissing all over the mattresses, correct?
Yeah, that's
historical
it.
thing?
And
Yeah.
I'm the dirty one.
And so I guess while we're down that road, so that was your first experience of like, hey, I'm doing this, and now all of a sudden the director's like banging the star of the show. Has that been a pretty common thing for you?
I would say that it's been common. I think there's definitely some intercourse happening between actors and actresses throughout the years, but not that frequent, actually. Most of us are very, very tight, but we're tight as in almost like family, not necessarily sexually, if we're going there.
So you wouldn't say the theater community in this small town of Montana is Alabama-ish or not?
No, I would not say, no, not Alabama-ish. We're very much, we keep our boundaries when it comes, well, I don't know. At least I keep my boundaries. I don't know about everyone else.
So, yeah, I'm going to tell a story that's just going to shock Mahoney right now. It's going to completely shock him. So, after you do Once Upon a Mattress, here you are. It's like a year and a half later, or maybe 2 years later, not sure the exact timeline, and you're in this horror film called Enigma.
Unbelievable. I mean, what are we? It's actually took longer to get to than I thought it did. Would going to be really honest.
So for your information, Mariann, Enigma's only been brought up every single podcast show we've done so far. Every single one.
Okay. I was wondering where this was going.
And
Okay.
we actually dedicated an entire show to it. We had like Matt Freeze on that episode. It was pretty fun. So what was your overall take on Enigma from the very beginning when it was just being introduced to you as a horror film? And at that point, we had done a couple shows together, so we weren't exactly strangers, but how did you feel at the beginning of Enigma and everything?
Well, I would like to say that I was pretty still fresh to the scene, and I was very much innocent at this time before I like really came into my role with you guys necessarily. But it was interesting because my parents were so easygoing and so trusting of you guys, so they just like let me go camping with you with a bunch of dudes, and I was a freshman in high school, and they didn't care. It was just very trustworthy. I think because we went to church together, they would just like automatically assume that you guys were safe and you weren't going to rape me or anything. So that was good. And it was a very cheesy, I want to say, because of the lines and a few of the scenes. But overall, I had a blast filming it, and it really got me to know how you guys work, and then just obviously getting to know you guys better too.
Yeah, and I just want to add a little bit on that. We talk about, they're not going to rape you or anything. Unfortunately, this man, he was a bald, fat guy. His name was Austin Howard, and he did raping few people in that cast. So I'm very sorry that it had to happen to you, Mariann.
Oh, shut up! You're dumb.
All right, so we did Enigma. Mahoney has just left. So Jay Marsh, what do you have to say about all this?
I still have no idea what's going on. It's been like 8 podcasts we've talked about Enigma. I still don't understand the movie. So,
and Mariann, that was one of the things we always talked about when we screened it. Like me and Kelly had these brilliant ideas, but we have never shown that movie to a person for the first time, and at the end they had any clue what was going on in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely like started filming it up at the old prison, and we like switched to the other side of the mountain, and we were kind of all over the place with filming it, so it doesn't surprise me that people didn't get it.
But the funniest thing is, like, with the film we're doing right now, Redgate, the horror film, is there's so many concepts in this new horror film, Redgate, that are so similar to Enigma. And it's just crazy how much it's not close to like the same storyline. There's so many concepts that are very similar to it, unknown killers or whatever and whatnot. And the amazing thing is that after the failure of Enigma, you'll find this interesting. It only took Mariann 17 years to come back and try to do another horror film. This is doing the voiceovers for Redgate.
Yeah, I mean, it really stung a lot of people. I don't think it stung anyone nearly as deep as it did Pat, who essentially has dedicated an entire podcast series to this and everything that's gone wrong. But I'm excited to hear. I bet Mariann does great voiceover work. Have you ever done voiceover stuff before, Mariann?
I did a little bit for Going Nowhere, but that was only for like, I think a scene or two. Otherwise, no, I haven't.
So what happened with our horror film is we had actors from Missoula, people who die hard in the COVID stuff and whatnot, and basically they're super liberal, and they were coming in from New York. They left back to New York, and then we were trying to do voiceover stuff via distance. And then I'm gonna be honest, I think they got offended by a Facebook post I said. And as we all know, diehard liberals are very tolerant people, so they just basically quit the show. So the funniest thing is that I don't know if I told you this, Mariann, yet, that they're not even gonna get actual like credit for doing the show. Like they quit, so like they're gonna get like pseudonyms, and you'll end up getting more credit than they do in the film. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm just kidding. I mean, I feel like I think that they probably don't realize how much work it is actually to do the voiceovers, especially when you don't have the same inflection in your voice as, other people do. So it was a lot more challenging than I thought it was. So I'm fine getting a little bit of credit. That's good with me.
No, what they don't fucking understand, those gigantic pieces of shit, is that
Oh, Jesus.
the post-production actually takes a lot of fucking time. So they actually set me back probably at least 30 years in my lifespan with this film. With that said, though, it's so funny though that Mariann's doing the lyrics for this One Slut or whatever, and your voice, like years, and Kaya hasn't been on the show yet, but she did the voice for the other person. Your guys' two voices matched fucking damn near perfect.
That's awesome, because I was definitely worried. It was tough. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be when I was recording with you.
Especially, so are you watching, like, do you get to watch a clip? Because they probably have different, like, inflections, or kind of, you can generally see their reaction to be like, they might say it like this, or they might say it like that, like, how the fuck are you doing it?
So basically,
we do get to listen.
Yeah, I play the clip, and we do this a bunch of different ways. The main reason though is like the main way we do it is I play a clip, whether it be Mariann or someone else, and they can listen to their own inflection stuff. Like even Kelly, this is all post-production audio, so even Kelly has to do his own audio. But I'll play the clip. Mariann can listen to it, and then she can try to copy her voice to sound like the lead actresses. So there is like a lot of inflection and tone and everything else that kind of sound like it. So it is challenging. What most people don't know out there, Mahoney, and people I tried to do a film class on this, they still didn't get it in Alaska. Of course, that's probably the worst example I could give, but most audio is shot in post-production. Almost all audio is shot in post-production for almost any film ever. So that was a plan the entire time. It's just glad that you were part of that, Mariann. Redeem yourself from Enigma.
Oh, come on. I was amazing in Enigma. 14-year-old me.
Well, if you're talking to Mahoney, he would say the entire reason I did this horror film was to redeem my Enigma film.
I mean, and you don't even have to like ask me. I think Pat said it almost once a podcast, so that's the reason he's doing this. So Mariann, like, honest opinion, do you think in your voiceover role you have been better than the original actress? Like, don't act like you're like, oh, I want to be humble. Like, hit me with it.
Yeah.
Have you made the performance better?
That's hard to say, because I've had to go off from her acting, because I had been able to watch how she performs it and everything. So I had to mimic her. So I can't say that I actually have been, just because the entire time that I was doing it, I was trying to reenact what she was doing. So I couldn't put any twist on it of my own. So that's unfortunately something that I can't take over.
Well, add on to that, Mahoney. Some of the voiceovers are weird because they're on their own personal inflection of that actress or whatever. So it's like some of it feels like the real actress has like a fucking sticker brush, like like that. So I try to get Mariann to reenact that, and that could be pretty fucking difficult.
Well, and I think she was stoned almost the entire time, and as someone who doesn't necessarily smoke weed, it was hard for me to like reenact some of that, just because I was like, oh, I don't know how I would sound if I was blazed out of my mind right now up in the mountains. So
have you thought of doing any method acting? And from what I understand, J Marsh can, like, he knows a guy who can probably get you some, and whether it's like edibles or whatever, like, you could do it, and that might really add an extra layer into the film.
Well, I didn't know that was offered, to try to do the voiceovers. Otherwise, maybe I would have done that. But, at the time, it was just us in a weird padded room, and I was shouting into a microphone. Just kidding.
So just going back on what...
Sorry, I mean, like, the movie isn't done completely. So if you do want to try it once, I mean, what's the worst that happens? You sound better? Get some personal growth? Like...
Yeah, okay. Can we just do the screaming scenes again? Because those are really fun.
So going back to what Mariann was saying about the actresses and actors, they were high most of the time, and they openly smoke weed on the set. And that though was part of my plan. I was like, the original background of Redgate was to have like almost like a live performance where I just pull up a camera, start filming them or whatever, and the cast and crew are separate, and we just kind of like meet up and say, here's a couple details about the film or whatever, and we'll meet up, start shooting, we'll say go or whatever, and you guys just start normally acting the way you do. So that's made it even more difficult to the vocals because there's the vocals that like a lot of vocals that Mariann's doing, they're like completely unscripted ad-lib vocals, so it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, that definitely made it hard because I know several times that we were trying to watch it to figure out what they said, and sometimes we just like guessed at it because it wasn't that audible.
And there's wind. We're up these, I mean, we're way the fuck up in the mountains in Montana, these big ass lakes. We had a scene, we were supposed to be on the river. We had a raft scene on the the fucking lake, and these girls, they're all from Montana, by the way. They said it was too cold. It was in the 60s. It was just a little bit windy. So we had to pause production this morning. And if you think that I won't let the state prison go, well, you have not seen one thing yet. So,
dude, you're in the mountains, 60 degrees. That 60 feels like 35. Let's be real here.
I wish Kelly's on that. He'd give it a great thing, though. Basically, I had to cool my temper and just go with it. And me and Kelly did the good cop, bad cop back and forth to their little camp up there. But basically, we were trying to convince them to do this fucking shoot, and it's not really that cold, and they can do it with coats on or whatever they want to do. Our film raft, this cheap rubber thing, gets blown over 3 fucking times. The first time we get a hole in it, and it's still we're waiting for them to like do their actual job they're getting paid for. So we taped the raft once. So we're okay, waiting. The wind gust hit again, flopped the raft up. I'm talking like fucking 10 feet in the air. The raft goes up in the air, falls down again, and gashes a gigantic fucking hole in it. So the crew was like the MVPs of this entire thing. They patched that thing up again. I tested out with one of the crew members across the bay or whatever, this lake. And I got out there, I was like, dude, this isn't we're gonna fucking sink. I'm not gonna ruin the entire production. So there was some insanity with this film. I'm just glad that I could go back to the original cast of Enigma and get this through.
So, Mariann, would you say doing this voiceover has helped you in any way as an actor at all, or actress?
Yeah, I'd say so, just because it's something that I haven't really done a lot before. So it's just getting me to expand my horizons as far as it goes with my profile and doing the voiceover, because it's not something that you'd get to do every day just as a small town actress.
Oh yeah, totally. So yeah, basically nobody gets to get that opportunity. So I don't know why people would just take that getting paid, $100 a day and just basically wipe their ass with it and shove it in my fucking face. But anyways, enough about me and Redgate film. Let's move on to Expand Your Horizons. You remember that program in junior high where the girls left and basically they were taught how to have sex with guys?
Excuse me?
What?
Did you remember that program in junior high? Expand Your Horizons?
I don't
No.
know, actually. No.
I guess I was the only person jacking off the audience that day.
Oh my God.
I'm not enjoying that term. Was just so weird. Come on, ladies, girls, come down to the center of Mr. Bunt's band room, and we have a program you need to sign up. It's called Expand Your Horizons. Just totally creepy.
You sure this wasn't about going to college or something? Saying you could be a mathematician too? Like, it was the 90s.
Oh, dude, it was Mr. Bunt. It was junior high. He's a music teacher. That's where our co-host found the love of his life.
Good point. Yep.
Who's not here tonight, by the way, folks.
What are you talking about? He's dead.
Gone but not forgotten.
Yes.
So, Mariann, did you get to pick Pride and Prejudice? Is that like you wanted to do that one, or you were just like, it's my time. It's my time to fucking direct.
No, actually, Kelly asked me last year when they picked it. He asked if I would co-direct with Jerry and Cutler. And then this year when it came back around, they're like, you don't need my help. So it's all you. So then I just took it over and ran with it.
Is this like one you're pretty stoked to be doing this, or would you rather do like a comedy? I feel like drama's just from an acting standpoint. I feel like comedy's way easier than drama.
Oh, it is for sure. I feel like everyone's more comfortable with comedy just because it's easier to act when you've got the audience involved and laughing. And drama, the audience may be involved, but they're not as vocal. And as a cast member, I mean, it's always easier to keep going when you've got the audience reacting to what you're doing. But I would definitely say that, I mean, I love doing this show and I'm so flattered and honored to be doing it. But my passion is truly in musicals, or, I would like to do a comedy too, just because that's what I grew up on, is comedy and musicals.
And do you think now, in the middle of like the most important scene, what if someone farted? Would that be funny, or would you try and cover it up to keep the scene like really tight and dramatic?
I have kind of a immature sense of humor, so I would probably laugh, but obviously I would try to cover from it. But no, that would not be something that you could easily recover from.
And have you ever farted or pissed yourself on stage?
I have not. Thank
You've
God.
never farted. Get out of all the times you've been on stage, you've never farted. I'm calling.
You know what?
Manure.
Nothing is striking my memory. That doesn't mean that is in fact true, but I cannot recall a time when I was like, oh, I shit my pants on stage.
No, I didn't ask if you shit your pants. Just
like a little too.
Because
apparently Mark's a serial crop duster when he's on stage. Apparently.
No, I just sometimes you do your best to hold it in, but like Calamity Jane, there was one time during this dance scene, bro had to fart, and what are you gonna do? Like, I wanted to make sure I was hitting my box step the right way, so I just farted. I didn't want that on my brain.
God, what's funny though, going back to Mahoney's statement there about the band teacher that marries his student, which is going to happen here on May 1st, folks. There's always used to be rumors of this band teacher we used to have in junior high that was not to be too explicit here for our audience, but he was fucking his students on the piano after school. Do you remember those rumors, Mahoney?
No. I don't at all.
You don't remember those rumors?
No, I don't remember that, and I don't remember expanding your horizons. I mean, maybe that's what expanding their horizons was.
I guess I'm the only person where junior high lasted like 20 years for me.
I guess so. So I don't remember any of that.
So basically, at the end of the day, though, Kelly, the teacher, is fucking his student on the piano. Is that pretty much accurate?
It sounds like he expanded her horizons and taught her how to play the skin flute, if I had to guess.
Oh my God.
Oh, so let's get back to the career of Mariann, going back to the good old days. So we did Once Upon a Mattress, and then kind of wiggle your way through the next couple of years. You went into Enigma. We covered that. Probably go back to Enigma. We haven't covered that enough, obviously. The sexual relationship you had with Austin Howard during the sequence of that show.
Ew.
Let's go back though to your did Once Upon a Mattress, and the lead actress was nuts. Then another hot actress is fucking a 50-year-old, and that was kind of the start of your theater career. So what happened after that? The next couple of shows or whatever.
Kelly asked me to be in The Dork, so his first original show. So I was in that one when I was 13, and I continued on to be in comedy nights, high school productions, then $3 Bill Part 2. So I was basically in all the shows with you guys as far as through when Kelly left for Milwaukee.
Okay, we'll knock this out one by one here really quick. The Dork was Kelly's first play. Kelly wrote it. Mm-hmm. He wanted to write a play. So if anybody out there, which theater cred out there knows, there's a play called The Nerd. And Kelly wanted to do something similar, but he didn't want to do The Nerd, so he wrote The Dork. And Kelly wrote it so he would play a dork. I ended up playing the dork. Kelly played something else, and Mariann played Kelly's wife or whatever. And then we went on to comedy nights. Now, Mahoney, how would you define to the audience what a comedy night is for those folks in Nicaragua?
Yeah. Oh, nice. We're going around the globe again. So comedy night it's essentially our version of Saturday Night Live. So it's all our own skits. We do a number of different skits. We even have the weekend update style news that's more local flavor, more local jokes. So that's what it is. It's very much all comedy, ridiculous, like slapstick, really funny shit.
I just want to cut in really quick. I'm gonna go take a piss really quick. Just keep talking, guys. Jay Marsh, go ahead.
So like, okay, you're good. Go take a piss, Pat. We got you.
Okay.
So I'm just going. Okay, there he goes. So what do you guys think? 3 minutes of silence? Just like pray to God. Like, see how many times we could bring the ragging back around.
No, man. We'll be good. I think we get at least 2 more mentions of Enigma in.
Yeah. So Mariann's parts, we're going to bring that, but once or twice, you think?
Yeah.
What's over under 1.5? Like, what do you think?
I think Vegas has
enough.
it set at 3, and I hammer the over on that.
All right. No, especially with that. Yeah, I have to agree. So Mariann, what play would you like to do next? Musical, theaters, director wise?
I really want to do The Last 5 Years. It's basically a 2-person show. It's a musical, basically an opera, because there's not a lot of lines. It's all singing. I would need a really strong male lead and female lead. I would love to be the female lead. I don't know if I have the range for it in her singing, but that's one that I would definitely like to do. I'd like to do a big one too, where I could help choreograph some stuff, because let's face it, I think Kelly and Matt's choreographing is getting a little old. The stomp claps.
Ooh,
we've seen them.
Ooh.
Yeah, like being like you want to choreograph.
Brutal.
Have you been like klutz of the year like 3 times running or something?
Hey, okay, listen up. I have, but I can dance better than I can walk, okay?
They're gonna rename that the Mariann Cameron Award here before too.
They probably should. That was fast, Pat.
Yeah, it was very fast. I actually thought I heard Kelly, so I had to check the hallways here, and I guess we could just continue talking shit about them, guys. So you did we did Dork, we did the comedy night, and comedy night is actually more my idea to begin with, but my idea was let's do our own Saturday Night Live type style skits, and then I think it sucked the first comedy night. I was not even here. I was playing the Shrine Game, a Montana Shrine Game, because I was a gigantic fucking stud in high school. Banged a lot of fucks.
Let's be honest.
Hey, you and me both, buddy. Don't forget I was in it too.
What are you saying, Jay Marsh?
What a lot of people don't know about Mariann is she's an unbelievable slot wide receiver.
Yeah,
just amazing. Great out of her first
wow.
Quick off the press. Great.
Get a 1-on-1 with a linebacker, they're fucked.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
You guys are funny.
In high school, I expanded a lot of girls' horizons.
No one who did that in high school says that isn't something now. Like,
sorry, I guess that was just the lingo back then. I guess it went over Mahoney's head.
Yeah, I guess so, man. I guess I wasn't expanding any horizons.
Basically,
what are you gonna do?
Gary Loberg came down to the high school and said, "Expand these horizons."
Gary Loberg. Wow, that's a name that I haven't thought of in a long time. Holy cow.
He's handing out hundreds of condoms. Let's expand these horizons, boys.
All right, what was the question?
So we're going on after the Dork. You have a $3 bill. What was $3 bill for you? Like, that was another Kelly production that he wrote in his basement.
It was, yeah. It was a good one though. I liked that one a lot. It was fun. We actually did that one in at the Motherlode Theater in Butte too.
Yeah, I went to that. I went to opening night on that. That's where anyone who is even remotely familiar with Cutler Brothers Theater will know that's the origination of the very famous Paul Burlesque.
Oh yeah, Paul Burlesque. So, would you say when we went to the Motherlode that really kind of expanded our horizons?
Oh, good God. I think it definitely elevated where we were at. I don't know if it was expanding anything, but whatever you want to say, Patrick.
Well, I'll say this: my cock sure expanded watching that show.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck.
All right. On to the next topic here. So,
You open up the story like she's like 14, and that's your comment.
Yeah.
I don't know, for whatever reason that one really tickled my funny bone. I don't know why.
I feel like all the like the setups for him to make that cock joke, like it's been going on 35 minutes now.
Yeah.
Surprised it took this long. Really has.
So honestly, if anyone's still listening, that's your payoff for this episode.
That's all you got. A theater play expanded Pat's cock, and Kelly's dead. That's two things takeaways from the show.
so you have these characters from the dork. We got the character of Paul Burlesque Mahoney Hussein from $3 Bill. And then what happens is this is before Cutler Bros was officially founded for theater and everything. We do the show Seven Brides for Seven Brothers on the Rialto stage in downtown Deer Lodge. And you were in that one also, was that correct?
Yep, I was.
Yeah. What was your role in that one?
I was Eliza. I was one of the sisters.
Yeah, so do you have a lot of fun in that?
I actually disliked that show, mostly because I was just in a bad spot in my life and I was a grumpy teenager. And I just, I wasn't crazy about the music in it. So that one compared to the other ones that I've been in, I just was not my favorite.
You know what? I totally agree with you because so during that play, that was the first time we used to these plays, and the play would get out and we would just fucking get in a caravan pretty much of cars and go to Butte on July 3rd for the fireworks show that night. After the fireworks show happened, we would go to the bars and everything. And I remember that night, that July 3rd night at Seven Brides Seven Brothers, I actually bought you like a Malibu. I think it was at the Met, and you drank very little of it. I'll just say this: I did not expand your horizons that night.
Oh my God. Yeah, once again, I was 15 years old.
God, that might have been a rape back then. All right.
Kelly, calm down right now. It was a child. Child and musicals don't go together, apparently, in this family.
All right, actually, Seven Brides, though, for real. I'll ask a question of you, and I'll tell you my answer before. What's your least favorite play you've been in? And I'll say Seven Brides for only this point. I went on tech rehearsal as I was just supposed to help move sets. Like I had no real interest in being in it. And then somebody dropped out, so I ended up being in the show. And I was just like, I did not have a good time at all. Like,
hey, you know what? You
thrust into it, and I hated it.
You had a very positive experience there from somebody that was working tech that I have never met in my life. And her name was Kate Schwab. Tell us about that experience.
Oh, God.
So I get told, hey, I'm doing this. Hold on one second.
Where'd Daddy go? Fuck.
So anyway, I get in there teaching me all these songs and dances that I didn't know at all. So I had no idea what I was doing. And then
sorry for audio crew there. We all have kids here, and unfortunately he's kind of dealing with something. All right.
The joys of parenthood. Anyway, it kind of reminds me of when this person who I'd never seen before, and as far as I could tell, wasn't even in the show, was sitting down like 3 rows and harping on me, giving me all these notes about the dance steps. It's like, I was just supposed to move this big log house. And it comes over and over. And like this rehearsal, if you guys remember, lasted till like 11:30. It took a long time. And she gave me some notes that I was not ready for anymore. And it was pretty much the only time I can remember that I ever snapped at anyone during a show of me. And I yelled at her to the point where, like, when I was done yelling, I felt kind of bad, but it felt good at the same time.
So you would probably say you did not expand her horizons that night.
No, I would say she probably, like, if she ever liked me, she probably still like holds some sort of grudge from that particular evening. But
so I want to say here real quick, Mahoney, you had a great segue there to least and like most like plays you've done. But before we do that, because that's a very good subject to go on forever, let's segue here to the segment of the show where it is the Prison City podcast, so we have to talk about prisons at some point here. So I'm gonna kick this to Mariann. I don't know if you have any clue about this or not, so we'll just start out with you, and we'll segue to whoever else wants to chime in. So you grew up obviously in prison town. Not gonna say your background or whatever, but what do you think? I mean, just out of your ideology and things of that nature, the difference between like men's prisons and women's prisons, men's prisoners and women prisoners, people that are on parole or whatever, men's and women. What do you see as a difference between the two sexes?
Oh, geez. Well, it kind of depends. I guess as far as prisons go, you would think women would be less violent, but I don't necessarily know if that is always the case. So if anything, I wouldn't put them in the same place. I'm glad that we've got them separated, just because the fuck fest that would probably happen in those places would be insane. But also, I mean, it's almost scary because you've got these men that are violent and can be very aggressive, and then you have these women that are conniving, and what goes on in their head and what they could plan is terrifying as well. So I mean, the evil's in both worlds, so it's just a matter of who can control them and who's best equipped to control them. If that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, that's a totally left field question out of nowhere, so I don't expect.
Yep.
Sure was. Yeah, sure was.
Before I kick it to Mahoney, how would you feel if they took the men and the women, put them in the same prison? But get this, they're in the same prison, but instead of calling it the prison, they just call it expanding your horizons.
I think you're going to have a lot of, oh, sorry. Are you asking me or Mahoney?
You.
Me? Okay. You're going to have a lot of babies, and you're going to have a lot of STDs and probably some violence, because you're going to get egos involved and you're going to get emotions involved. So I think you're just asking for trouble by doing that.
But is that really necessarily a bad thing?
You know what? I don't know.
Oh, I stumped you. Mahoney, just go back to the original questions. What, from your experience, have you seen the difference between like men's prisons, women's prisons, men on parole, women on parole? Thoughts on that?
I mean, I talked about institutionalized, and that happens both ways. I think what people would be kind of surprised to hear is that the women's prisons tend to be a little more violent in terms of like, there's more fights, there's more, because that's the hair pulling and stuff like that. There's more of those type of injuries. So the women's prison in Montana is actually more violent in terms of like reported injuries and fights than even our own prison in our own backyard. So I think that was something that I was always really surprised by. I don't think, I've had another family member who worked parole and pre-release forever, and there's not that much that I will say. The numbers will state that men tend to be more institutionalized, meaning they're more likely to make it back than women, but it's not like a huge gap. It's not like one's 5% and the other one's 95%. It's just men are more likely.
So one of the questions for you is like, so growing up in like high school and stuff, I've had teachers in high school tell me like, you go into the men's bathroom or whatever, it's not a big deal. But you go into the women's bathroom and there's some just nasty ass fucking shit in there, from shit and things coming out their things or whatever. And just, but like writing on the wall and shit they say about each other. Do you think like women are that more nasty in their prisons and stuff than men, or?
No, they're not. I think just as a sex, like women tend to be a lot more clean than men. And that's where like men, it's easier for them to create something and cup it in their hands and throw it, I will say. And that's very common. Like the use of bodily fluids at the men's prison in Deer Lodge is super common, like super common. Spit, piss, sperm, shit, you name it. Whatever they can create, they'll throw it. When
it comes to homosexuality and say a homosexual rape, what is more prevalent, do you think, women's or men's, do you think? Or actually, no, never mind. Take out the rape part, 'cause that's just homosexuality in general, men's or women's, who are most likely to have that type of thing going on.
I mean, I bet it's probably fairly equal across the board, honestly. You get so many people locked up for so long, everyone's got these certain desires and drives. So,
I mean, everyone wants to expand the horizons, correct? So it is what it is.
Yeah, Jay Merce, let me just kick to you. What do you think about all this bullshit I just said?
Half of it, I have no idea. I really don't. But based on stereotypes of what I've experienced with, women tend to get less of a more serious sentence, less prison time, more jail time type. That's kind of the route they take. So if I get serious for a minute, then like I could give a couple examples of a woman and man doing the exact same thing, and the sentence is a lot more severe for the man than is the woman. But the woman gets put, once again, legalize all drugs, and we should be able to vote online. That's my 2 cents on everything. So take it as you will, Pat.
Yeah, just kicking to Mariann. So just a dead serious question here. If you were in a prison and say you were homosexual, how does that work? How would you orgasm, or how would you get her to like orgasm, or how would that work?
The fuck?
What are you talking about?
What is happening?
This was supposed to promote Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
You don't have to answer
interesting.
this at
Very,
all. Like,
No,
Yes.
no.
very
that's part of the
personal
podcast.
question.
I gotta hear the answer.
I mean, I don't think it's women know how to get ourselves off, so I don't think it would be an issue in prison, especially with some other women around. I mean, I think it'd be fine. You'd probably be in better shape than if you're a man in a male prison. I mean, no, you'd be in good shape either place as a homosexual. So if you want to be in prison, I think homosexual is the way to go. So
Yeah, I would say though, I agree with that. Men carry around shanks to stab each other. Do you think women carry around like shanks to get each other off?
no, I don't. I don't know where that's coming from, but no, I don't think that's a thing.
All right, sorry, too many Ancient Aliens episodes last night.
I would,
Oh,
what
boy.
sort of ancient aliens talked about that?
Oh, it's a newer episode.
Jesus, J. Mars looks like the fucking Honey, I Shrunk My Kids, and he fell into the grass pit or whatever there on our screen. So that
Where'd he go?
I thought he just fell off the screen dying of laughter. So I said
That was
before,
interesting.
I said it before the show, we could totally have someone that's not male on the show. And it's been a fun show. The best show so far, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
Splash page, Cutler Bros Productions face page tomorrow. Check out the Prison City podcast, expanding your horizons.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be the tagline, right?
It has to be the name of the episode, right? If it's not expanding your horizons, we are fucked up.
Right.
Am I the first female you guys have had on the show?
Yes.
Is it that obvious?
And probably the last, yes.
Thank God it was me then. Jesus. I don't know who else could handle this. Jen Persons. I mean, that girl from 25 to 32 that works at Prison Pizza.
I'm not gonna lie though, I did tell everybody in our podcast chat that we're gonna use this to promote Pride and Prejudice, so we need to do it quickly.
Oh, Jesus.
That is not the case.
No. This
Cut
kid,
half of the show. We talked about Pride and Prejudice for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, and it was after talking about tits and shit. Like, it's such a horrible
Yeah,
lead-in.
about how much my tits are showing in the show. I actually named them Pride and Prejudice. The right one's Pride, the left one's Prejudice.
There we
And
go.
what is the left one most prejudiced against?
And why is the right one more prideful?
Pride, well, because the right one's bigger, so it's more proud.
Okay, so in the left one's prejudice, get the right one because it's not as big.
Precisely.
So
Okay.
I think maybe in the future, if we're like trying to get female guests on, maybe we like hide this episode.
You want to
Yeah, don't show
like
it.
end this and redo it for another 45 minutes about Pride and Prejudice and move on with your life?
Now we're in way too deep at this point.
We are way too deep. So let's keep things on track here as we have been all night.
Yes, I would say this is definitely the most on track podcast anyone has ever done.
So,
Hey, at least all of us are expanding our horizons so much.
More than I ever thought possible.
Okay.
Right. So, after Seven Brides and Seven Brothers, what happened next in your career?
Let's see. Okay, so that was when I was in a sophomore.
Okay, so now
The
we're probably
following year-
16. Okay, we're
Yeah,
getting
we're
older.
16
getting
now.
older.
Yeah, kind of getting legal. I did Into the Woods, where I was the witch, which was one of my favorite roles that I've had. So that one was good. Brent was the director of that, so he always was good at expanding my horizons, but
Hey.
actually my not my actual horizons, because obviously we know he's gay. So just like working on my skills and stuff as far as my theatrical and musical skills. So we did that one. I don't know if we did any. No, that was Kelly's first year gone, so we didn't do anything.
So
but
let's-
after that, we started Calamity Jane.
So let me talk about Into the Woods. That was the most controversial school play in history.
Yeah, it was.
What was controversial? I watched the play. I had no clue what the fuck was going on. What was controversial about that one?
The baker's wife ends up having like a little bit of an affair with one of the princes who's also married. So that was the big thing. And one person wrote a letter to an editor. Then Joe Crowder's dad wrote a letter to the editor and all this bullshit.
I just thought it was controversial. I was in college in that time, and I ended up fucking an actress from that show that was in high school.
Oh, yeah, Elizabeth.
I guess I
Liz,
thought that,
or whatever her name is.
I don't know. She ended up breaking up because I didn't know how to play a game of Harry Potter in the Woods, so that ended quickly. I guess I didn't expand her horizons.
No.
I was surprised about that.
That goes to show you, man. Everyone's got to know a little bit of Harry Potter to keep the spice in their relationship.
God damn.
Everyone has to know how to use their wand, I guess, right?
Nice.
Have you ever been dragged to a show? And okay, I'm gonna get a male version of this. I'll get Mariann's version on this. Have you ever been dragged to a show where it's like, I would never go to this show ever. I would be not caught dead at the show. So I got dragged to the Harry Potter thing. This goes on. I can't remember what episode it was, but I sat there with her for 2.5 hours and I had zero fucking clue what was going on. They were in a hot tub at one point talking about a sorcerer or something. I had zero clue what was going on. Anybody had that experience before?
Probably.
I mean, yeah. Not that exact
District
one,
like District 9 or something like that. The one about the aliens or do you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly. Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I watched that one and I was very fucking clueless.
Yeah. You know what the last time, Mariann, that happened to me?
Friday
night at Pride and Prejudice.
I knew you were gonna say that, you jackass.
What a dick.
No chick took you to Pride and Prejudice.
No. I'd have
you weren't even there on Friday.
I was shortly, and then I figured I couldn't expand her horizons and left.
Oh my god.
God, that's the first show I've ever seen where I wanted to fuck every chick in the. God, I'm done. I'm done. All right,
my
so
mom's in that.
Well, your mom's hot.
You know what? She's the costume designer. Tell her to stop designing such slutty costumes, and you wouldn't have this problem.
Well, maybe if the Cutlers didn't expect my tits to be hanging out of all of them, she would stop designing slutty costumes.
I mean, maybe if you would hide Pride and Prejudice once in a while, this would not be an issue with Pat.
That's actually not good for business. That's what gets people coming back. So.
Yeah, Pride and Prejudice. Yeah, maybe I'll put them up more. Fuck.
No, there are beautiful photos I posted of the Cutler Brothers Facebook page. And just go through them right now and notice how every single shot has cleavage in it.
God, you didn't zoom in, did you?
No, he didn't.
All right, let's round the horses here a little bit.
Circle the wagons, folks.
I'm gonna go back to Mahoney's point to and I'll keep this to Mariann. What was your? Let's go back to what was your least favorite play to be in?
You know, I have to say I didn't enjoy Seven Brides for Seven Brothers just because I didn't like the storyline. Other than that, I don't know. It's a tough one. I've really enjoyed all of them. I was in one in Polson and I really enjoyed being in it, but I thought the show was terrible. I couldn't even tell you what it was called. It was over Halloween, so it was kind of like a turn of the screw type one. But the storyline was just shit. So straight shows are always tough to come around to unless they've got some meaning for you. So those are always my tougher ones.
What was the worst play you ever watched in person? Mahoney.
Oh, I watched one at Mahoney. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mariann.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Pat knows my answer.
I watched one in Helena at Grand Street of all places, which usually puts on some really good ones. But it was actually a Harry Potter one, but it was about like the Hufflepuff crowd. And I mean, the acting was good, but it was terrible. Like it was just off the wall and very intense in a way where since it wasn't a popular typical storyline, it just wasn't as good. So what was yours, Mahoney?
Yeah, go ahead, Mahoney.
I always forget the name of it because I hated it so much. It's the one that it was like 2 or 3 summers ago. I can't remember where everyone was like a hairdresser in the hair salon.
Steel Magnolias.
Oh,
Steel Magnolias.
I'm gonna go with Jay Marsh. I think me and Jay Marsh's play is the same one because he left that one.
I honestly have not been in enough, or seen enough plays to actually have one I disliked. I have a favorite, but there's not one I've truly watched and been like, this is horrible. Yeah, if that makes sense. Mamma Mia on Broadway, by far my favorite thing I've ever seen.
Actually, I'll admit that mine's not the same as Jay Marsh's. So it was me, Kelly. I want to say Austin Howard. For those of you that don't know, well, you don't really want to know, him. So we went to Helena. Talk about Mariann went to Helena, and I don't know if it was the same company or whatever, but they did Shakespeare during the summer, and we saw A Midnight Summer's Dream the night before. Oh, not the night before, but God, the year before. And we came back and we decided to go to the performance of King Lear. The King Lear was the guy that was King Lear was the same fat fuck from Once Upon a Mattress, and he did it again. This guy's a very, very good actor for being extremely mentally unstable. But we watched, God, it must have been 2.5 hours of Shakespeare, which we did not understand anything that was going on. And we asked the guy in front of us, like, so is this the show this is over? He's like, no, this is just intermission. It's like, intermission? Yeah, King Lear can last up to 8 hours. I was like, what the fuck? So we left at intermission because we could not take another 3 hours of whatever the fuck that was.
Sounds like
Shakespeare's rough.
Pretty good trip to Helena, honestly.
Yeah. Well, yeah, in a way we kind of expanded our horizons there, or our knowledge of plays. And
sure, absolutely. It was a cultural experience, I think, that you can never take back, certainly.
Never take back ever. So let's just start to wrap things up here, folks. And as we know, when we start wrapping things up, it happens pretty much instantly, right, Mahomes?
Yeah, it's pretty much like you'll say wrap things up, Mariann. It's a little disappointing to know that you haven't listened to the show because we've gone global just last week. So, but yeah, when he says we're going to wrap things up, typically we're done within like 3-4 minutes. So
yeah, by 3-4 minutes, we mean about 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
So before we wrap things up really quick, folks, let's just talk. This question's to you, Mariann. Give me, what are your thoughts on Joe Purcell?
Who? Oh my God, I barely remember that guy. He was terrible.
He had like the pizza face and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I just
why are we shitting all over Joe Purcell?
Joe Purcell, and why are we being a dick to him? He could be one of our 31 listeners.
Okay. One last story, folks. So we're doing a show, and he did some construction inside the old Montana State Prison, and he did these dressing rooms for the girls and stuff. And basically, he had a mental breakdown. And one day he's like, "Yeah," or we're like, "Yeah, I can do the show tomorrow." It's like, "Yeah, there's gonna be fireworks tomorrow." And the funny thing was, the show was actually on the 4th of July. Remember that? Anybody?
I do remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember what his fireworks. I do remember he was like normal and like super helpful around and like helped us do a lot of stuff, and then he just kind of disappeared. I remember that.
What was your favorite wrap-up show so far? Was it last week? We were like, I did not even say the wrap-up thing last week, and it was basically we're on a podcast with this guy from Great Britain, and we're just talking. He's like, "I gotta go to the bathroom." We're like, "Okay, whatever." He comes back with a fucking clown mask, and he's not talking or anything, and it's just like,
Yeah, he didn't realize that his audio had been turned off, so it was pretty weird.
yeah.
He did a mask and sat here quietly for 30 to 40 seconds and just did.
Yeah, over and over. So,
but nice guy, though. Absolutely nice guy.
Why does he look like that? I think that's a fair question.
Can you hear Carter?
It's like, hey, can the viewers hear us question on here? I'd like to hear us question.
Ask again.
How can you do that?
So for everyone
Did you hear
listening, J Marsh has basically some sort of like almost like Snapchat filters that turned him into a pirate. Now he's a graduate.
French dude. You think I don't know what this guy is. What's this? What the fuck?
Very cute. Butterflies.
Thank you.
So anyway,
we're going to this.
Mariann, you never answered what your favorite show was, and it can't be the one you're directing right now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So it's a toss-up. I absolutely loved doing Chicago because I felt like we had just a stellar cast. Everyone in there was so talented. I think that's one of the most talented casts that we've had. And I did love my role as Lola in Damn Yankees, and I thought I had a great co-cast on that too. But overall, I'd have to say, oh God, then you have to think of Calamity Jane, which was awesome too. But hard to say. I'll go with Chicago, but Calamity Jane is a close second.
All right, then we'll kick it to J Marsh. What is your favorite show you've been in or watched in theater so far?
All right. Figuring I've been in 2, helped with 1. I'm still gonna stick with Mamma Mia when I saw it on Broadway.
You saw Mamma Mia on Broadway?
Yeah, that's by far. It like the live band, it changes everything. It really does for me. That was awesome.
And Mahomes.
Mine probably always and forever will be the 3-man show, just because that was a blast to do. Complete history of Deer Lodge Bridge for those who are unaware. I think probably the most talented cast we had that I was a part of was Rumors.
Oh God, yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
that was fun. That was
That was a good one.
So
we
fun.
had a really good cast. It was a good script. We had especially I feel like our last 3 or 4 shows were just like really tight and really funny and really well done. So that was a really fun show. Most of the shows I love to do. And I ended up kind of like getting into the music of Seven Brides, but that's the one that I like the least, I would say. Every other show I had a blast doing.
So, Mariann, talk about the vodka night between you and Kelly and Rumors really quick. But I'll preface this. Kelly is supposed to, Mariann towards the end goes off, just like all of us go off towards the end. Kelly has this big, long-ass speech at the very end where none of us are really on stage or anything. But apparently Kelly and Mariann were drinking vodka backstage. I had no idea. But anyways, go ahead, Mariann.
So we go backstage and we're watching Chris Zawada, and he's just like blanking on all of his lines, and he like turns around at one point and is like, help me, because he can't remember shit. And him and I were back there, and I mean I was only 17 at the time, but we're just like pulling certain vodka, and I come back on, and he's got a good 2 minutes where he's still off stage after I come on. So he's backstage just pounding vodka by himself. And he comes on and his monologue was like 2 pages long. No joke. Like it was huge. And he's just all over the place trying to put on this monologue. So that was like still one of my favorite memories that I have from the Gunport Theater and back in our old days, because that cast was incredible. We were great. I mean, Mark, I was your wife. I don't know if you remember that or not. So it was a great cast. It was hilarious. And obviously Kelly getting absolutely hammered and trying to make it through 2 pages within 30 seconds was, you just can't beat that.
Yeah, amazing. I also want to touch on what Mahoney said there is like, the 3-man show, his favorite play was Complete Works at Deer Lodge Bridge, which is the audience doesn't know, the Presidency podcast takes place. Home field is in Deer Lodge. We're all from different places. I'll restate that. We're all from Deer Lodge, but we live in different places most of the time. Anyways, the Complete Works of his History of Deer Lodge Bridge was a show, and I was talking to a good friend of Mahone's. His name is Scott Grazier, and he was talking about Mahone's all the time, which is not a surprise to him, I don't think. So we started talking about Complete History of Deer Lodge Bridge, which is the show this guy went to like 5,000 times, although we only did 12. And the show was making fun of this prison city we live in, Deer Lodge. It went through the entire history of this small town in Western Montana called Deer Lodge. And the show, the idea originated because honestly, I would say Mahoney told us a lot of times that he'd get crowd feedback that said we had done a lot of plays, me, Mahoney, and Kelly, and Mariann, who else, and a lot of people said, for a comedy, it'd be so funny if you guys just did a 3-man show or whatever. So we kind of created the idea of that 3-man show. The show was very funny. We had probably 3 total rehearsals for that show. For a 3-man show where there's 3 people that have all the lines, we had, what would you say, 3 rehearsals for that pretty much?
The first time we ran through the entire show was dress rehearsal.
So again, though, I think Kelly was in Chicago. I was at Montana Tech and he was at Helena. And basically I would go in my study hall during the day because I had a big gap at Montana Tech, and I would memorize my lines. So by the time we met for the first time for that show, all of us pretty much had our lines memorized. So there wasn't a whole lot to it, but yeah,
not really. And I mean, it's a 3-man show. You don't have to worry too much about the blocking. I mean, that's, all the scenes are like fairly fast paced. It's just more about changing the scene. And I wore a dress on stage. It was a whole thing. I was former Governor Judy Martz for one of the parts of the show.
The funny thing is, like, I've told Kelly several times, like, he's redid $3 Bill, one of his originals. That's only maybe $3 Bill 2 he might have redid. No, I don't think he has. But I've told him a lot of times, like, let's bring back the Complete Works of Deer Lodge Bridge because it's copyright free. There's no royalties, so anybody can play those parts. We had a lot of fun doing it. we've even talked about doing like a Dork meets Paul, just bringing that back out. And again, we brought back So again, going way back in the podcast, I was the Dork $3 Bill, which Mariann talked about, $3 Bill 2, which Mariann talked about. Kelly had a part called Par Burlesque. We had another show called Dork meets Paul. A little bit intense here. So then we did Dork meets Paul, and finally the sequel to Dork meets Paul after all that. God, we're in like our fucking fifth play here, was Mariann, Montana last year, which is a lot of fun. But Kelly basically wrote a brand new sequel to all his original plays. And what I'd like to see is Complete Works of Deer Lodge Abridged on stage eventually. So with that said, let's go to our final words here, everybody. I'll start with J. Marsh. Your final words on this episode.
Well, this has definitely been a unique episode, and it's had some fun moments for sure. Mariann, thank you for joining us, and it's been fun. That's all I can say.
So I'm gonna go to Mahoney. Your final words here for this episode.
Mariann, thanks for coming on. Episode, are we 8? Is this 7, 8?
Eight. We're on 8.
A lot of fun. Obviously, it's a very unique one. Without, I hope you rest in peace, Kelly. We miss him. But Mariann, it's been fun. I don't think this is where you expected it to go. You should know us better by now. And hopefully we'll have you on again with the whole crew so you can get a real vibe, because it's so different. Like, it's so different.
Yeah, like, with the whole crew to expand your horizons
You'll
beyond,
be,
you know,
be
like,
like,
yeah.
wow, this is wow. I get why so many people listen. And so to everyone listening, obviously, like, subscribe, tell your friends if you like it, and if you don't like it, especially this episode. Been a good one. Thank you, Mariann.
Yeah. So, anyways, Mariann, I'm going to give you the last word, because I'm starting a new thing on this podcast where, after the British guy last week, they wanted the last word, I'm now going to give our guests the last word of every show, because a guy in a clown mask from Great Britain told me to do so. Anyways, it's been a great show so far. Audience, I'd like to really, be out there. You need to expand your horizons and think about, expanding everything in your life. And with that said, Mariann, I'll give you the last word, and then we're going to cut this show off. All right, go ahead.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. I can't say that I'm surprised, actually. I'm surprised that there were only 15 mentions of inappropriate behavior from Patrick. So expected like 12 to 18. So we're doing good. We're right in the zone. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks for having me on. I hope that you guys do have me on again in the future. I'd love to be a part of it.